Good morning, Andrea Goldsmith. Thank you for joining us here at Yellow Shelf.
So pleased to be here, Joe.
Andrea, you are an accomplished author. You have many novels you've published before, but today I'm talking to you about The Buried Life, your new novel. Tell us all about it. What do we need to know?
It's a novel that is shaped around a story that's shaped around three very, very different people. And I do believe that stories attached to people. So my novels are very much novels of characterization. And the people have got to be interesting to me, and I hope to the reader. So the first person that we meet actually on the first page is Adrian Moore. It's his 43rd birthday, and he is a scholar, an academic, and his area is death. And there are social scientists of death. I mean, it's actually becoming quite a crowded field. We meet him. He's in the doldrums. His girlfriend of 10 years left him a year ago, and he has really not picked himself up since then. He describes himself, it's interesting, he describes himself as a temperate man, and he kind of is. You sort of want to give him a bit of passion, really. Um, and he gets it later. His best friend in the neighborhood is a young woman, Keziah. She's in her late 20s, she's 28, and she makes fine crafted paper. Her background's really interesting. She was raised in a fundamentalist Christian community on the outskirts of the city, and she has been rejected by that community and is estranged from her family. She's a very strong character, but she also has yearnings for her past life. That's Kezi. And the third person is Laura. Laura's in her late 50s. She's a town planner, and she has been long married to Tony. She is enthralled, blindly enthralled to her husband, and she has been blindly enthralled to him ever since she met him as a young university student. Three very, very different people who I bring together. I kind of see Kezi, the young woman, as the linchpin between the other two. Um, anyway, they're brought together, and I think it's really important in a novel that there's movement, that characters change. You don't want your characters to be the same at the beginning after you've put in the effort of 12 hours of reading for them to be the same at the end.
Yeah.
And they all do change. They change because of the interactions with each other. They change because of unforeseen tragedy. And Adrian, in particular, he changes because through a chance exposure to a piece of music by Mahler. He's not in any way musical, but I guess I wanted I wanted something to open him up, and music is something that can open you up even when you're not musical. And even though it's not heavily stated or anything like that, but look, his life does change after that. He falls in love for the first time, and he comes face to face to death, this expert on death, for the first time.
Yeah. And Andrea, this book's been described as a book about differentiating beliefs, about complexities, and also about conflict. We'd love to know what inspired you to write the book. I know you've written other books, so tell us about this one. What was the inspiration for this book?
Well, my all my novels have started with ideas, and the one for this one was it started with death. You know, the thing that's always astonished me is that there are two immutable fundamentals about all of our lives. We're going to die, and our lives are shot through with uncertainty. So it's the two things.
Yeah.
And both of them, so many of us actually shy away from, or indeed are terrified.
Sure.
When it comes to when it comes to uncertainty, what people often do is, in order to try and control the uncontrollable future, as one of the quotes in the book is, "Change is the only constant in life," and
Yeah.
yet we kind of run away from that.
Yeah.
And in terms of the uncertainty, often people go to fundamentalist ideas or religion or relationships.
True.
And I think that, well, we've all looked around and seen friends of ours in relationships that strike us as unbelievably destructive.
Yeah.
But to the person who's being destroyed, often they don't see it. And I
Mm.
wanted to write from the point of view of somebody who was caught in one of these deluded states. And so that's basically what prompted me. And I guess the other thing is, I mean, there's a lot around at the moment on coercive control.
Yeah.
At the point at which I first got the idea of this novel, the novel was long because of COVID in the middle of it. I sort of got that idea kind of before
Yeah.
the rest of the world there. Well, that's not true, but I knew I wanted to write about it.
Yeah, fascinating. And Andrea, finally, just tell us if we're curious about you, your previous novels, and this book, if we're curious about The Buried Life, how do we connect with the book? How do we get the book? How do we connect with you? I'll put it in the show notes.
Oh, okay, that's good. I do have a website. I am
Ah.
absolutely useless with social media, totally useless. But I do have a website. It's got my other books on it, and it's also,
Awesome.
I'll put up the links and things to The Buried Life as well. My publisher, Transit Lounge, have been absolutely fabulous, and there's also information there. My agent is Jane Novak, and we can also contact me either through the website or through Jane. And my books are always available within Australia at all good independent bookshops. We like to support our
Fabulous. Yes.
bookshops. And it's available in ebooks.
Yep.
And so, I mean, for people who are outside of Australia, of course, yes, there's Amazon. It's all available there. So
Awesome.
use it.
Well, I will make that easy for everyone. I'll put it in the show notes, Andrea. Enjoy the book. Are there any more in the future or are we done?
Uh, that's so interesting. This is my ninth,
Yeah.
and I do like the number 9.
Okay.
But I've got to say, for the past 3 novels, I've said, "Oh God, this has got to be the end." But what happens is when you've finished a novel, there are leftover little tidbits, and you think,
Oh, this could
"I want
carry
to do
on.
something with
Yeah.
it." Exactly. So
Okay.
I won't talk about the future just yet, but
No worries. Well, I mean, I do the cheeky ask just in case there is one in the future. I would love to have you back if there's more books down the track. Andrea, thanks for joining us today.
thanks, Joe.
Cheers.